This is definitely one of those times that the song is the lesson, but I have a few words I'll add. So we're in our final week of 4 weeks, exploring in depth how we can best live love. Fulfilling our February affirmation, I invite you to join me again. Michael, please go to the next slide. Join me. I am a living, loving expression of God, right here and now. So as you recall, last week we looked at love through the unique perspective of science. In essence, how our bodies define love, as measured through psychophysiological studies, as described in the book Love 2.0. Again, that's written by Barbara Fredrickson, who's a PhD professor of psychology and the principal investigator of the Positive Emotion and Psychophysiology Laboratory at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. It's a mouthful. But I think it's important to understand her background and where she's coming from. I think the quote that most aptly summarizes her scientific findings about love is this: just as our bodies are designed to extract oxygen from the Earth's atmosphere and nutrients from the food we ingest, our bodies are designed to love. It is a life-giving, indispensable source of energy, sustenance, and health that has the capacity to alter our biochemical makeup and quite literally affect our physical health, our vitality, and our overall well-being. Now, I pointed it out last week, and I realized as I read this that as our bodies define it, we're not talking about sexuality or the physical ways we think of expressing love, but actually how we emotionally and mindfully experience love in our bodies as we interact with people in the world. So, of course, Fredrickson defines this idea of love in very specific and measurable psychophysiological terms. She notes these specific descriptors. 1, love is an emotion. In essence, a fleeting, momentary state that arises to infuse our body and mind alike. It brings with it an inner feeling that is inherently and exquisitely pleasant. It changes and expands our minds and awareness of our surroundings and our sense of self. It melts the boundaries between us and not us, making us more permeable, and bringing with it a palpable sense of oneness and connection, a transcendence that makes us feel part of something larger than ourselves. It is not exclusive, but extends beyond partners, children, parents, and dear friends, reaching way further than we would normally allow, in essence excluding no one. And it inevitably fades away until the next time. In addition to these characteristics, Fredrickson also adds 3 essential conditions. So love isn't unconditional. It has to have these conditions for it to happen. She says love blossoms virtually any time 2 or more people, even strangers, connect over a shared positive emotion, be it mild or strong, through the momentary upswelling of 3 interwoven events, specifically sharing of 1 or more positive emotions between us and another, 2, a synchrony between ours and another's biochemistry and behaviors, and 3, a reflected motive to invest in each other's well-being that brings mutual care, what she calls a positivity resonance that reverberates back and forth, possibly even expanding in the exchange until the momentary connection wanes. Now, all of that, I think we can take in. The key one that I know challenges me is that it's momentary. In her definition, love is an instant that happens to us and then goes away. So as we proclaim our life eternal love and such to a partner, or saying that we're always loving the world and such, that's a different kind of experience than what she's talking about. Fredrickson explains that it is this shared connection that we experience with people that distinguishes love from other positive emotions and makes it our supreme emotion, meaning that more than all the other positive feelings, joy and satisfaction and contentment and peace, more than all of those feelings, love makes us come fully alive and feel most fully human in measurable and repeatable in essence, scientific ways. Specifically, she notes it is this love connection with others that allows and empowers us to thrive and to grow, to experience greater joy, physical health, vitality, and resilience, as well as an increasing spiritual awareness of the unity and oneness of life. And in that, she also emphasizes that while these measurable, momentary, emotional love exchanges are fleeting and conditional, they are also ever available and renewable opportunities which we can learn to cultivate within our own lives and in our world, in our environments. If you recall, we concluded last week's lesson recognizing that this definition and understanding of love as a fleeting, conditional, emotional experience can seem contrary to our spiritual understanding and practice of love. Certainly was different than what I hold as love in my spiritual understanding. In essence, we see it as the infinite, unconditional, divine force, not experienced by us as an emotion, but as a conscious choice, a conscious practice that we mindfully make in each moment. So we briefly addressed this seeming paradox last week, as we always do, by adopting a both and, let's all say it together, a both and approach that calls us to a higher integrated perspective, which also aligns with Fredrickson's understanding, wherein she distinguishes between the two by calling these spiritual aspects, in essence, the practices of commitment, of bonding, of trust, and compassion. She calls them the products of love, momentary positive resonances. That these are things that come out of that daily experience we have of momentary connections with one another. And she notes that these seemingly contrary perspectives on love are actually complementary to one another. They're both equally supportive to our well-being, and they're both mutually supportive and reinforcing of the other. I said last week that I was going to go a little deeper into the science today. So in Fredrickson's own words, it was a happy accident that pressed her into seeing love in this whole new light. She had been seeking a way to test her hypothesis concerning the constructive, long-range effects and benefits of accumulated positive emotions on our overall psychophysical spiritual well-being. That was the body of her study. This was requiring that she somehow create an experiment complete with randomization and rigorous measures that would compare one group of people who increased their daily diets of positive emotions to another group of people that didn't over an extended period of time. She was running into a challenge, however, because all of the current methods that they've been using in the lab to test the short-range effects of positive emotions, like music or pictures of puppies and kittens or film clips or unexpected gifts of candy, etc., eventually all lost their charge as they were repeated. She observed even the most potent emotion-eliciting stimulus fades into the background like wallpaper with repeated exposure. Serendipitously, during the same time period, Fredrickson got involved in a year-long interdisciplinary faculty seminar on integrative medicine, where she was first introduced to the ancient mind training Buddhist practice of loving kindness. And as she began to experiment with this practice, she realized that this might be the answer to her search, that this might be the very intervention she'd been seeking that could reliably and sustainably increase an individual's intake of positive emotions, because a loving kindness practice doesn't diminish with repetition, it expands. To make a long story short, they were able to conduct a successful experiment, testing the effects of learning to self-generate positive emotions through loving kindness meditation that demonstrated when people completely new to meditation learned to quiet their minds and expand their capacity for love and kindness, they literally transformed themselves from the inside out. In short, the subjects experienced more love, life engagement, serenity, joy, amusement, more of every positive emotion that they were measuring. And though the participants typically meditated alone, the greatest boost in positive emotions came when these same subjects were interacting with other people. Their connections were being enhanced by their loving kind-heartedness that they've been stoking all week long during their meditations. Which is how Fredrickson accidentally determined that love is our supreme emotion, exponentially surpassing the positive effects of all the other positive emotions when they're experienced in isolation. And she pointed out that any of those other experiences of joy and peace and such, when we share them with another, obviously build into one of these love resonances moments. But there's also lots of ways we experience those kinds of things on our own, and they don't have that same effect. Additional studies followed, testing with other interventions that also fostered love connections, and resulted in the same well-documented benefits that had been achieved through the loving kindness meditation. So it wasn't just the benefits of meditation, it was the focus on loving kindness that was bringing about these changes. And that brings us to the second thing I promised you last week, which is to talk about these practices that the scientific studies have documented will increase our love capacity and thereby increase our overall well-being. I'm not going to take time to explain the foundational loving kindness meditation because we're going to just do that in our meditation time after the lesson. And we've done that many times in our services. In fact, Michelle just did it 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Instead, I'm going to focus on some of the other micro-moment practices that have been shown to create similar consequential shifts in attention and awareness with just a few moments of effort. You all should have gotten a handout, so you don't have to take any notes. That basically gives you all the information that I'm going to share with you here, but so you can pay attention here and know that you'll have a reference that you can use when you go home. So the first two practices are about raising our awareness, and the first one is to reflect on our social connections. She invites you that you set aside a couple of weeks and each night review your day and call to mind your 3 longest social interactions of that day. And then ask yourself how in tune and how close you felt to the individuals that you were interacting with. You're not to judge what was going on, just observe what went on. Be honest and just let your mind watch in your eye how those things unfolded. Here's the good news. The research shows that simply reflecting on our daily interactions provides a gentle reminder about our ever-present capacity for love and encourages us to make deeper connections going forward. Which brings us to the second practice, which is making a commitment to make 3 loving connections each day. Recalling how energizing and rewarding it can be when we connect with someone, intentionally set out to connect with at least 3 different individuals in each given day with warmth and respect and goodwill. Taking the time to actually make eye contact, to listen to what's going on to them, to actually genuinely be interested in their lives, and then after those interactions, reflect upon how you feel, what comes up in you, what your body is experiencing, and whether you experience any sense of the positivity resonance that she talks about. The next 2 practices are about expanding our self-love, because what the scriptures say, we need to love our neighbors as ourselves. So as all the wisdom teaches, if we don't love ourselves, we don't have a great capacity to love others. So these are important. So the third practice is to narrate your day with acceptance and kindness. At the end of each day, looking back over it, become mindful of your inner dialogues, especially noting where you were less than kind to yourself. Anybody do that? I know nobody here ever is critical. Nobody has a critical mind going on, right? So she suggests that we simply observe that process at first. Again, awareness is always the first step. But then start interrupting those negative narrations during the day as we become more and more aware of them with a kind reminder. Something like, we're all works in progress. Something that a friend would say to us, or we would say to a friend who was beating themselves up. You can imagine how you might handle a similar situation in the future as you're reflecting on the day, and welcome that opportunity for learning, for growing awareness, and congratulate yourself for having become aware that you can do things differently and better. The goal here is what is called radical acceptance. I think Tara Brach has coined that term. And it's about embracing our whole selves, leaning into our perceived shortcomings with our eyes and hearts wide open, and modifying our self-talk to be positive and constructive, in essence, being a true friend to ourselves. The next one also is about how we can use our own suffering as a cue to connect with others. You know, by nature's design, we recoil from pain, right? We burn ourselves on the stove and we back off, or if something scares us, we back away from it. Compassion does just the opposite. It moves towards suffering. It seeks connection. You can imagine a parent rushing to a child who's hurting. That's what compassion opens in our hearts. So when you're hurting, take the time to bring your full awareness to the situation, being gentle and practicing self-care, because what we know is when we bring our attention to a situation of pain or suffering, we move through it rather than stuffing it down or trying to ignore it or trying to get busy with other things or substitute things like chocolate instead of dealing with the emotions that are coming up. Our hearts being open allows us to also then expand our compassion outward. We might imagine how others might be feeling this same kind of pain and suffering, how we're not alone in what we're going through, that there are others not only in our near circles but around the world that have similar kinds of situations that they suffer in. And we can conclude this with the wish, may I and all who suffer, whatever this condition is, find peace. The three final practices are about expanding our love connection outward. So the fifth practice is creating compassion in our daily lives. By setting an intention and anchoring it to a selected cue, like whenever I'm stuck in traffic, I will, we can replace random mind wandering, and I don't know about you, but when I'm stuck in traffic, it's always positive mind wandering. We can replace that time with compassion-building activities. For example, we can notice the faces and body postures of others around us. Look at the people in the cars that are around us and just notice how they're appearing. Notice when, for example, there's signs of suffering, of a grimace, of a furrowed brow, of a heavy sigh, or when someone honks at you and it becomes very clear that they're going through some kind of issue. If it helps to engage, you can imagine what might be causing this apparent suffering, and then allow yourself to witness the suffering with your whole being, without judgment. Just be present, just like we have been practicing how to do that for ourselves. Do that for these other individuals that are around you. And direct loving kindness to them, praying, may your difficulties fade away. May you find peace. May your burdens be lifted. Of course, we can always include ourselves in that. And we could say, may our difficulties fade away, if you're identifying with some of the emotions. May we find peace. May our burdens be lifted. In a similar fashion, but with a slightly different twist, we can also create celebratory love in daily life. We can similarly cue up replacing random mind wandering with intentional celebrations of others' good fortune. Notice signs of happiness, of joy, and our good fortune in those around us. See the person in the car next to you that's just rocking out to the music or is clearly having an enjoyable discussion with someone next to them. And then send out warm thoughts and bask in the joy of their blessings and wishing them well. In essence, sending the wish, may your good fortune continue. This is also a really good practice if you find yourself, like all of us do at times, feeling just that little bit of jealousy or resentment or something when we see someone that seems to have it all coming together and we're feeling like we don't. It's a great way to shift our attention and join in their joy and wish them great love and joy and fulfillment. Finally, we can redesign our lives around love. We can make love our life purpose by mindfully discerning how we can transform all of our normal interactions with others, whether it's at home or at work or just out in the community, into enhanced quality connections. In essence, involving eye contact, genuine interest, active listening, acts of kindness, and any other things that come to mind. The thing is, we're all on autopilot, and we tend to go through our days and be busy, so it takes setting an intention. It takes thinking about it. When I go to the store today, I'm going to make contact with every person in line. I'm going to give a greeting. I'm going to help a person who's struggling to put their things on the counter, whatever it is, but set that intention. And it fades away like it does because we get busy picking out our own things, bring it back into mind. When we learn and practice these evidence-based prescriptions for generating warm, loving, resonating connections with others, we step into a whole new dynamic, not only enhancing our own health and well-being, but also influencing everyone we touch, as well as the evolutionary trajectory of human consciousness. That's a pretty powerful impact that we can make. And that brings us back to why Jesus taught that the greatest commandment is to love God and to love others as ourselves, affirming that on these two commandments depend all the law and the prophets. In essence, love is all there really needs to be if we open ourselves to it. And science is showing us that we can specifically, intentionally create more of these opportunities that then empower us to be more committed to the choices we make in the spiritual realm. So in closing, I invite you to one more time affirm with me,
I am a living, loving expression of God, right here and now.
Namaste. So as we do every week, and ideally you do every day, take a deep cleansing breath in and let it out with an audible sigh. And you settle into this time of meditation. When we do this regularly, our bodies create its own memory. We sit up straight, put our feet flat on the floor, lay our hands in our laps in an open, receptive position. Relax our shoulders, maybe rolling them to release any tension. And beginning to focus on our breath. Yesterday, we were at a workshop where I learned a new idea in meditation, suggesting that we notice how with each breath, as we inhale, the universe is exhaling. And as we exhale, the universe is inhaling. So that we're in this constant flow and connection with all that is. Now bring your awareness to the sensations of your own heart. Breathe to and from your heart in connection with the universe. Notice how each breath brings new energy and allows it to send life-giving oxygen coursing throughout your body. Rest in this awareness with gratitude for the divine order of our hearts and our beings. Now visualize an individual for whom you already feel warmth, tenderness, and compassion. This could be your child, your partner, even a pet. Someone whom the mere thought of them makes you smile. Let their smiling face surface in your mind's eye, and as you take in the image, with the lightest mental touch, briefly call to mind the qualities of them that arouse warm and tender feelings within you. Visualize how connecting with this individual, this person, this beloved, makes you feel. And as you feel these tender feelings take root, creating genuine warmth and kindness throughout your being, gently repeat the phrases of loving kindness, seeing your good wishes moving from your heart region to theirs, perhaps as a wave or a beam of light. Quietly affirming, may you feel safe. May you feel happy. May you feel healthy. May you feel peaceful. May you live with ease. The words we use are not as critical as the sentiments and emotions that they evoke. You can rephrase the statements in ways that serve to stir your heart the most and draw out the intent of your wishes more fully. Perhaps in specifically appropriate ways that you connect with this individual. Notice if your mind wants to race ahead and mindfully slow down so that you can reflect on each phrase and move at your heart's pace. Visualize what the fulfillment of each wish might look like and how your loved one's face and body posture might change and appear. Feel the energy being created in the space between breaths. Pause just a moment to feel your own heart and body. Discover any sensations that arise within you. And after you've slowly and steadily repeated the phrases for this particular loved one, gently let go of their image while holding the warm and tender feelings in your heart region that this exchange has evoked. When you practice this loving kindness meditation in your own space, you can call as many individuals to you that evoke this sense of love and warmth and tenderness as you need to feel it flowing through your entire body. This morning, given our limited time, I'm going to invite you to move to the next stage where you invite all of your friends and family as a group to come into your awareness. Wishing them all well through your body's appreciation of these phrases. Again, may you all feel safe. May you all feel happy. May you all feel healthy. May you all feel peaceful. May you all live with ease. as the process grows. We shift from our loved ones to those that we have connections with, but are not necessarily close. Perhaps the service person you spoke to for tech support, your mail carrier, or your neighbors that you wave to but never really connect with. Bring them into your awareness, into your circle of love. Again, affirming, including yourself. May we all feel safe. May we all feel happy. May we all feel healthy. May we all feel peaceful. May we all live with ease. We can expand this circle to include our community, our state, our workplaces, our nation. And when we feel the need, when we feel a disconnection with someone in particular, we can then call them into this sacred space where we've grown this power and force of love, where we feel it deep in every cell of our being. We can breathe into this sacred space with this individual that we've had some disconnection with our hearts open. Once again, repeating the phrases. May you feel safe. May you feel happy. May you feel healthy. May you feel peaceful. May you live with ease. And now, as we close our meditation this morning and bring our attention back to this time and space, we can remember that we can generate these feelings of kindness and warmth any and every time we wish. And we can be grateful knowing that the more we practice this activity, the more we are conditioning our emotions to more easily move into this sacred space of love, as well as being more prepared to experience deeper and more authentic connections with each person we meet throughout the day. So taking one last cleansing breath, letting it out with an audible sigh, with grateful hearts. When you're ready, open your eyes.
Flowing through my heart.
Amen.